Hi, Loan. I'd love for you to meet my good friend Loan that I met about 3 or 4 years ago on one of my retreats that I was hosting. And from the first moment that I met this woman, I thought that I was there to teach her something. But she was the one teaching me something that changed my life in that moment. And that thing is the sacred gifts. And I'd like for you to present to my very good friends what this is and how we can identify them and how it could change someone's life in knowing what their sacred gifts are.
Yeah, thank you for that beautiful introduction. The idea of the sacred gifts is basically we're all born gifted. We came to this world equipped to fulfill our purpose. And it's through our gifts. We have a set of gifts that we're born with, which are very different from our skills, which is something that we also go into detail when we go through this process. Gifts are natural abilities that you're born with. You come to this world with them. Whereas skills are abilities that you need to develop and learn. It takes time. It takes mental energy. They're great. They're important because these skills empower our gifts. The problem is we use too much of our skills. And the thing with skills is because it uses mental energy, we might feel tired and drained. This is why a lot of clients, they're really good at what they do, but at one point they just burn out. They can't do it anymore. And it's because they've been using too much of their skills and not enough of their gifts. Something that you've also discovered is that with gifts, the more you use them, the more energized you feel. So, there are certain people where you feel like they keep on going. They're an energizer bunny,
The energy bunny,
yeah. And you're like, where do you get all this energy? But clearly they're sharing their gifts that keeps them going, because for them, it's not work. For them, it's like there's something that I'm sharing that just energizes me more, right? So the important thing to understand about this is that you want to know what your gifts are, and then from there, decide what are the skills that will empower your gifts.
Absolutely. And you made me realize as well that I was utilizing my gifts in different areas of my life, but they were the same gifts that I kept spreading in different areas, because I was like, am I lost or am I on purpose? And I couldn't figure out what it was. And then you came to me and you're like, but Magda, these are your gifts. And you keep doing them in different areas, even if you're in fashion or you're coaching men or you're working with kids. You told me the gifts are the same. You just express them differently.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing with these gifts is they're very intuitive. They're highly intuitive. You have to be present and you have to be connected to your spirit for them to be activated. But in certain situations with certain type of people, when the gifts are needed, they're going to be called upon. So it seems like you have different groups of people that calls for your gifts. And that's why you feel called and pulled to help them or to serve or to, in that community, your gifts are being called to be shared. And that's the overlap between, from the outside world, it looks like we're doing so many different things, but as you mentioned, the gifts are just being called in different areas. And it's something you do very naturally, right? We have a lot of clients that talk about sharing their gifts at very young ages, no experience, not trained. The parents have no idea how they're able to do this. They're fascinated, but at a very young age, they already started sharing them.
Absolutely. And I think it's so important to know which gifts you have so that you understand your purpose in a way that you're not draining your life force energy in things that are not re-energizing you, because sometimes, like you said, some people will go to the burnout, and the test that you have is so precise, and the results, like the haha moment for me is like when I received the results, I was like, that explains why I keep looking for these opportunities in my life. This is why I'm so passionate about, like teaching and giving advice to people and empowering people. Those are all different gifts. And how many gifts are there? And
so far, there are 25 gifts discovered. These gifts were discovered. Actually, the founder of Discover Your Secret Gifts is Monique McDonald. She's from West Canada. And over 40 years ago, she went to this spiritual workshop and they talked about gifts. I think it was only about 10 to 12 that they talked about. And she's like, wow, more people should know about this. So it was a Christian workshop. It was Christianity. And she wanted to make this accessible to more people. So she removed the religious part. And for 20 years, she did research, she did test groups. And she also discovered that all faiths believe that we're born gifted. We have gifts. It's just different. They have different terminologies or different approach to it. So for example, I'm sure you've heard of the God-given gifts, right? God-given gifts or spiritual gifts. That's with Catholicism or Christianity. The indigenous people believe that we can call upon our gifts when we connect to Mother Nature, to the animals. So they will go out in nature and they connect to that, and that's how they are able to call on their healing powers. In Buddhism and Hinduism, it's the Dharma, right? We're born gifted to fulfill our Dharma, which is our purpose. So all that to say is all faiths believe that we're born gifted. We're just not told.
Absolutely. And it changes your life when you're told. You're like, okay, I'm not lost.
Yeah.
You're such a gift in my life.
Aww.
And this is why I wanted to share this information with you, because you do have some workshops coming up.
Yeah.
And I'd love for you to absolutely, this can help even businesses, you told me.
Actually, yes, absolutely.
Because,
yeah. So I would say, how would I preface this? So when you share your gifts, you become an experience for those you share them with. Because your gifts are not just, like you said, not skills. They're not just like these things that you do. They move people. They make people feel certain emotions or things around you. And so, especially with service-based businesses, your product is the people. Your product is your team.
So true.
So if they understand their gifts, they're tapped into it, they know how they are contributing to the client's experience, it just empowers the client, or it just enhances the client experience or the customer experience with your business more. So I do this in teams to help them, discover their gifts. I do it in group sessions with individuals who don't know each other. I also do it one-on-one as well. So those are some ways that I offer this process. And the process is actually very simple. First, you fill out an assessment form. And from there, we have evidence. This is the starting point for us to have a conversation about what your gifts may be. But the assessment form alone doesn't tell you what the gifts. It gives you really good guidance on what they may be. But it's in our conversation where I really confirm, is this a gift or is this a skill, right? Because with the assessment form, your skills might also show up because maybe you've been using it all your life and you become an expert in it. But there are certain things that you need to identify in order to determine whether it's a gift or a skill. And that's what we do over our conversation. So first the first step is an assessment. And then after that, we have 2 sessions of conversation to dive deep into your gifts and what they are. We extract specific evidence of your gifts being shared throughout your lifetime. And what we also discovered is that over a lifetime, you may have either 3 to 8 gifts being activated. And it really depends on where you're at in your journey, how many gifts you have. Some people have less, others people have more. You're very gifted in so many ways, as we've discovered.
Yes.
And so that's basically the process.
Well, it was life-changing for me. It allowed me to get out of my weeds, like we say, get out of the weeds, and definitely see, for example, the gift of teaching, which is one of my strongest gifts, that I can teach in different contexts.
Right.
And this is something that you told me, like the gift of teaching doesn't end because you're not working in a school. And I know that it sounds obvious maybe for you, but maybe this is your blind spot that you can't see. Maybe. And through this test,
you were able to,
I was able to see it.
Yeah, maybe I could explain a little bit between the skill of teaching and the gift of teaching, yeah?
Yes, please, go ahead, yes.
So since you used that as an example, the skill is, anyone can learn how to teach.
Yeah.
There are real ways for you to, there's way for you to learn how to teach. And teaching is a great skill to have, especially if you're in that role, right? the profession or the skill of teaching is very different from the gift of teaching. The gift, you will find your own way to do it, but the gift itself allows you to naturally make learning happen. You're able to recognize and read the room, whether they get it or not. You're able to adapt your learning, your communication, so that when the student or the audience are listening, they're like, oh my God, I understand. And there's different ways that different people will express that, but it's actually the gift is the natural ability to make learning happen. So it doesn't have to be in a teacher role. There are professionals that are in the training, the coaching, different ways that they may be teaching, but it's the natural ability to make people have this mental expansion. They have a technical aha, or they're like, wow, I didn't understand this before, but now you broke it down in such an easy way to understand, and I understand it now. So, and one of the keys is when you teach, you feel energized. It's not like, I know there are some people who are teachers, but for them, it's a real job. After the class, they're like, oh my God, I'm tired, you know, but they do it because maybe they have to, for the work, for the money, it's their job. But if you can do work that allows you to share your gift or express your gift, it's a whole other ball game. Like you don't feel like it's work, and you know, the people, the impact that you create, absolutely beautiful.
And that's why I'm like, I need to share this with the world. And you have workshops coming up, and I'd love for you to spread the message so that people can sign up, because for me and for many other people in that retreat, it was a aha moment, a breakthrough moment where they learned, oh my God, I'm on purpose, or I'm not on purpose, and I need to be more on purpose, as it will energize me.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the workshops and dates, and
For sure. So I have, they're in group experiences. They're online, and there's going to be 2 sessions of 3 hours each. So it's in over 2 days. And Max is a very exclusive, intimate group of 8 people. For each group, there's the weekend, which I don't remember the dates. I have to send it to you.
We'll write them down in the description below.
But it's in February. So it's in February. Groups of 8, 2 groups of 8. I have one in person, the 3rd group, but that's in Montreal. So if you're in Montreal, you're welcome to join.
Yes.
But otherwise, the other groups are in online. If that helps.
That helps.
Yeah.
And can they have a session alone with you, like
Absolutely.
I did? Yeah. You still have some openings?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Amazing.
The great thing about the group experience is you get to hear about other gifts that are, you know, out there that's not your own. You will discover your gifts, but you also hear about the other ones that are there. And every time I share it, people recognize gifts in their family, in their community, in their workplace. And they're like, oh my God, that's true. That person did that for me the other day. And just being able to see people in that light. So I've done
teamwork then happens.
Oh my gosh. When and do it in companies.
Teamwork, right?
Yeah, they see each other like, oh yes. I love doing it in teams because they're working with each other every day, but they never see each other in that way. And so when we do the group experience in a team, they're like validating each other.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they're like, oh yeah, you have that gift that I don't. So that's why they have more compassion for each other instead of getting irritated.
Yeah.
Why can't you do what I did? Well, obviously it's because you're a gift and it's not theirs.
You need to do this for all the couples in the world.
Yeah.
We might have you in our singles group, actually. We'll invite you to do a workshop, as it would help people.
I think for couples, it's super powerful because, again, the everyday grind in life, it's so easy to forget, you know, the beauty of this person in front of us. So when we talk about their gifts in front of each other, they just see each other in such a beautiful light. And even my clients, they talk about, like, they rediscover, like, they're fascinated about who they are again.
Yeah.
Because they get to discover themselves from that light. And so it's a beautiful experience. I feel really honored and lucky to be able to do this work.
I'm honored that I've met you. And you're a precious gift on my path. And I wanted to share this with you. And really look at the description below. All the information will be there. I will post your dates, and you're going to give me all the information, the link to your website, so that people can go get the test done, get on a meeting with you one-on-one, or, like you said, at your workshop in groups and teams. So thank you so much
Thank
Thank
you.
you for accepting this.
Of
And
course,